Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So as gardeners and people in permaculture fields, we often talk about self-sufficiency. Now, one of the things I want to talk about today is that key to self-sufficiency, that key that's going to give you independence, so it's going to make you less dependent on others and less dependent on massive corporations. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is the importance of seed saving and how seed saving is going to free us up and free our ties away from massive seed corporations. So seeds are actually dominated by a handful of huge corporations, Monsanto and Bayer being some of them. Now, these corporations, they actually control the amount of seeds that go into farming, go into gardens, go into everyday life. And these are the things that we're growing our crops from. All over the world, they're implementing genetically modified seeds, and that's what they're pushing. And this is one of the things that we've seen more and more of in Bangladesh, where my family's from. I visited Bangladesh when I was a small child, and I remember all the different types of rice. So there was khalizira, a type of black grain rice. There was sinigura, there was normal basmati that we'd grow. There was red rice, there was white rice, fat rice, thin rice, all kinds of different rice. Now you go and it's all the same. Now it's not even, now they don't have these names anymore. They have these numbers. So now the most common one grown is Ataishi, i.e. number 28. Number 28, this is a genetically modified seed that you have to go back to Monsanto and buy. You have to go back to these large corporations and buy, and you can only grow those seeds. They're infertile, so you can't save your own seed like they used to. Because in the old days, what they used to do was they'd save their own seed and they'd grow from their own seed, and that's it. They'd have this abundance of variety, they'd have this abundance of life and abundance of food going into their system. Now they've got this one grain, this one crop, and that's slowly the things that are happening over here and happening across the world. That's why it's so important for us as individual gardeners that we save seeds. People say grow heirloom varieties and native varieties. I'll talk to you about that in a separate discussion, but it's not one for today. If you want to keep heirloom as something as simple as, seeds that breed true, we can agree on that definition. It's not too controversial. But let's stick to that, and that's going to be an easy one that we're not going to fall out over. Not only is it going to benefit your pocket, but it's going to allow you to trade seeds, allow you to, if these large corporations fail, or if some kind of disease enters in that's going to destroy or wipe out a certain type of seed, you've got your genetic diversity and you've got your genetic variability that you can survive these kind of catastrophic events. If I show you these hyacinth beans back here, now these seeds came from seeds saved by my auntie in Bangladesh. So my auntie saved the seeds, she gave them to us, we've grown the plants over here. We've allowed these pods to mature, and we're going to use these to grow next year's crop. So all these seeds that we've saved ourselves. So what's happening now is we've taken those seeds that my auntie gave us, and then we've grown them here for a few years, and we're hopefully building in some cold tolerance and selecting the seeds that are best suited for us. So like this plant here, this plant has struggled a little bit. It's produced a little bit of beans, but not massively. But this plant behind me has been massively productive. It's grown all down here. There's so many beans come off just this single plant. So we're trying to save as many seeds from this healthier, strongest plant that we can. So that way we're going to ensure we're getting good quality seeds from a good quality plant. Now, one of the things about chilies is they're notoriously promiscuous. They cross-pollinate at the drop of a hat. All you have to do is look at them. One chili has to look at another chili, and they've cross-pollinated. The naga that you see us famously growing here, what we've been doing with them is we've been saving the seeds, we've been hand-pollinating the plant and making sure that we're selecting the seeds that we want to grow, and we're getting a consistent seed now. So maybe in the next few years we'll release that to people. But if you are going to pollinate chilies, what you want to do is you want to find a flower like this. Okay, so you want to find a flower like this, right? That's about to open, that hasn't opened yet. If you find a flower like this, it's too late. Okay, if you want to save seeds, that's too late. Then what you want to do is you want to bag that. So stick a plastic bag or some kind of protection, so something that's going to prevent pollen from other flowers reaching it. So we use those, Ziploc bags, really easy to put over the end. So what you want to do is you want to do a couple of those flowers like that, okay? And then once you see the flowers open, you want to manually go in, take a toothbrush, take a paintbrush, even use your finger and hand pollinate them. Once you've hand pollinate them, bag them up again until it forms a chili. Once it forms a chili, then you know that that particular chili is safe and you can save seeds from that, and you've got a pure seed that you want. So remember, I always said that I wanted to be able to walk into this greenhouse and see bottle gourds, see snake gourds hanging over everywhere, right? Okay, this vine's in my way a little bit, but if you come in and have a look at this, so one, we've had loads of harvests from this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just from that little cluster, and there's more all over the place. So this is exactly what I wanted, right? We're getting snake gourds absolutely everywhere, mashallah, beautiful. Really, really happy with that. But what I'm going to do is this guy here. This is a really big one. We're just going to let that mature on the vine. I hope we've got enough time left. With it being September, with these being in a greenhouse, hopefully these will mature for long enough, and we'll be able to, we'll be able to harvest, our seeds from this. Mature, leave it on the vine as long as I can until it becomes hard, and then I'll take it inside, dry it, and then next year I'll harvest the seeds from it. But there's a lot of snake gourds come off that. See, this one's one that I definitely want to keep because it's a nice big plant, it's a really productive plant, and we'll keep seeds from it and we'll keep growing them for years to come. So if you want to save tomato seeds, treat them exactly the same way I showed you with the chili. Tomatoes, aubergines, treat them exactly the same, because they're another one that hybridizes quite quickly. And especially if we stick to our definition of heirloom variety as seeds that breed true, if we stick to that definition, then it's going to be a lot easier for you if that's the only variety that you grow and you don't have to do anything else. But if you're growing multiple different varieties, then stick to the bagging method that I mentioned, and that applies to aubergines, chilies, tomatoes, peppers, all of these kind of plants from the Solanaceae family. It's really, really easy to do. So if you're going to save seeds from squash like these ones, leave them on the vine for as long as possible. Let them stay on the vine. Don't harvest them until the skin is properly tough and properly dry. Once they've matured, then you'll be able to take those seeds. But again, with most of these plants, especially when you're growing in confined areas like this, the biggest risk is cross-pollination. So make sure you're hand-pollinating them, and then you're doing everything you can to protect that flower from being pollinated by something else. It's the first time. Look at the variety I've got. I've got a cuchicuri squash here. I've got a Guatemalan blue here. It's the first time that I've actually managed to grow one of these, and that looks like an absolutely beautiful squash plant. Yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous. So we've got hyacinth beans that have grown outside and actually fruited outside, and we've been harvesting loads from here. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to make sure I harvest a few seeds from here, save a few, allow some to go to full maturity. And then once they've got to full maturity, then I'll let them dry as much as I can on the vine. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to take them off too early. You want to get the seeds, make sure that the seed is fully mature, because what can happen is the seed might look mature, you take it off the vine, and you dry it out, and then next year it doesn't germinate because it hasn't reached that full maturity. So that you want to get it to there. Store the seeds in the bean themselves. Look, one of the easiest seeds to save yourself are runner beans. Yes, you're going to get a lot of cross-pollination. I don't even bother trying to isolate the flowers on these. They're a plant that will cross-pollinate quite easily, but they won't cross-pollinate and turn into something dangerous or turn into something that's not going to give you a runner bean. It's always going to give you a runner bean. Okay, some of the qualities might not be exactly the same, but yeah, you will get runner beans from them, and they'll be good runner beans as well. Look, these have been from saved seeds. And we've been saving seeds ever since we started gardening here. So since 2009, it's the same packet of beans that we're growing over and over again. And these are the ones that that are here and they're producing and they're doing is amazing. And it's the same with what we're doing with French beans and the same thing that we're doing with our peas. Now, when it comes to courgettes, your story is a little bit different, okay? Because if you remember a few years ago, there was a load of courgette seeds that were on the market that everyone had to recall because the courgettes were bitter and they were poisonous. It's one of the things that can happen is if you don't isolate your seed enough and you don't protect your seed from being cross-pollinated by something, your next generation of seeds won't breed true, and that way with a plant like courgettes, you could end up with a poisonous courgette, people getting upset tummies. When I remember it happening a couple of years ago, it started off with Wilco seeds, and then very soon it started spreading to the big name seed brands. When it's spreading across multiple brands, you know where the real seed is coming from. The real seed is coming from one source origin. So all they've done is taken the seed from one source origin and packet them up in different packs. And Wilco's are charging you £1, £2 for them, and Fothergills and Thompson and whatever are charging £4 or £5 for them. It's the same companies, it's the same seed manufacturers that are supplying the seeds and just sold to us in different packages. But if we cut them out, we don't need them. We don't need a lot of these places. Okay, there's some seeds that you're not going to get, some seeds that you want to try new, absolutely. There's just so many seeds that you can save yourself. You can save yourself that money, you can save yourself from that interference from other people and that outside influence and gain a little bit of independence. If you are a beginner, then beans and peas are probably your easiest seed to save. So leave them there. As you can see, like this one, you can see the seeds popping. Now that I'm going to leave on the vine until this starts to dry. Now we've had quite a nice start to September, I'd say, and hopefully we're going to get a couple more weeks of weather like this, and that'll be crispy as anything by the end of September, maybe a couple of weeks into October. And once it starts to dry in the vine, it's safe to take off. Here we're doing this with the French climbing beans, just letting the seeds pop. You know, we're letting that bean grow until the seeds start to pop. Yeah, really good. Really easy way of saving seeds. And the thing is, save more seeds than you need to. If you saved loads and loads of runner beans, dry runner beans, right? The worst that's going to happen is you're going to have too many seeds. And you could always eat those dry seeds, you know, just cook them as a lentil, just cook them as a dal or something. Yeah, you can eat those dry seeds, that's absolutely fine. But if you save those seeds, the magic thing that you can do with seeds that you've saved is share them with other people. Okay, they might not have a fancy name and come in a proper packet, but when you share a seed, right, with someone else, I remember when I started my YouTube channel, I had some Egyptian mint, and someone asked me for Egyptian mint. Someone else asked me for Egyptian mint, and I sent out loads of Egyptian mint cuttings to different people, and before I knew it, the circle had got around to me that they'd got Egyptian mint and they were sharing it. I mean, when I share seeds, the only thing that I say is, look, if you can, pass some on to other people. Absolutely wicked. There's something beautiful in sharing seeds because you're sharing life. You're sharing life, you're sharing food for other people. It's beautiful, man. So if you remember this arch, and one of the things that I said about this arch, that I always wanted to come down and have bottle gourds hanging down from the top of it. Now, it's quite late this year, my bottle gourds haven't been good, right? But I'm starting to realise my dream a little bit. So it's something that I'm really buzzing about. But the thing is, right, this year I'm not going to be able to save my own bottle gourd seed. But I've got a bottle gourd that I still haven't opened from last year. It's still in its case, it's dry, it's in the house, and I'm going to open that and I'm going to use that to save seeds for next year. So if you're saving plentiful amount of seeds, more seeds than you actually need, you can share them with other people, you can share that, gain that little bit of independence, but then you can save yourself from years where you have a drought, where your produce isn't as good as you hoped it would be. You're not able to save seeds, but if you've got a backup, you can use those and carry yourself on into the future and cover yourself. It's like an insurance policy. Now, if you see all these chard plants, now these are all self-seeded. Now, what happened was a plant had actually bolted and the seeds had dried on the plant, and I chucked that into my compost. Obviously, my compost didn't get hot enough in winter, and when I spread it around when I was planting my onions, I've just spread chard absolutely everywhere. Now, benefit for me is I've got chard absolutely everywhere. I'm picking it, we're eating it every day. I'm loving it. But Obviously, it's taking a little bit of space and it's growing where I didn't actually plant it. But it's a benefit, man. It's doing good. We didn't do it deliberately, but we've got loads and loads of lovely chard everywhere. It's gorgeous. They're even growing in my potato buckets. They're growing in my chili buckets. For some people, they might be a little bit annoying, but yeah, it's free food. Take advantage of it. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, save your seed, share your seed, gain that bit of independence, and let's protect ourselves from those massive seed corporations. One last thing before I go, right? There's a massive difference between GMO seeds and hybridized seeds, okay? Hybridized seeds can be seeds that people have cross-pollinated. So you've taken one tomato plant that you've seen with a specific quality, you've seen another tomato plant that you've seen with a specific quality, you've cross-pollinated it, you know, two qualities that you like, you've cross-pollinated it and grown a tomato that you want to hopefully keep producing. So you're breeding a plant for a specific reason. So you've seen a plant that's maybe a little bit blight resistant, and then you've seen a plant that, for example, a tomato that's got a thinner skin that's quite nice, or you've seen a plant that's less prone to cracking when it overwaters. Then you take them and you breed them together, you cross-pollinate them, and hopefully the next generation is going to be a little bit blight resistant and a little bit less prone to cracking. So that's what hybridization is. GMO is something completely different. It's taking something that's not meant to be in the plant, not plant related, and adding that into the plant. And I remember reading a few years ago about someone taking an Arctic fish, taking the DNA from an Arctic fish and adding that to a tomato, so the tomato has a longer shelf life. I don't know how true that is, but I remember reading something like that. Now, you can do the research on that, but there are stories like that. And when it comes to corporations like Monsanto, corporations like Bayer, I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them to be messing with our food. I wouldn't put it past them to be trying to take control of our food. We just need to gain that independence. We just need to support each other. And this is one way that we can do it. We save seeds, we share seeds, and we share the love. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and make sure you subscribe and follow us for more updates. And if you want to support us, become a patron. I'm going to leave it there for this one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.